Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I am back from my road trip to Montreal to visit the Montreal Botanical Gardens. And I want to thank Eric, the curator of the Bonsai Penjing collection, Vanessa and Marianne for the fantastic tour, a once-in-a-lifetime tour of all the trees. I really enjoyed it. I also want to thank Jay from Blue Jay Bonsai. He did a lot of the organizational work for this trip, and unfortunately he couldn't make it this time, so I just had to go by myself. So thanks a lot, Jay. It was a fantastic trip, and I hope Jay and I can do the trip again, maybe in the summertime. There is a book that was recently published of the Bonsai and Penjing from the Montreal Botanical Gardens, and it's a fantastic book, giant pictures in it, and it features all the trees that I saw on the tour of the greenhouses. And what amazed me is, when you see a tree in a book like this, you have really no idea how large it is. You can kind of picture in your head by the leaves and that. You think, okay, that's about that size. But when I got there, I think I was blown away. And I think part of it is seeing the trees in 3D. When you see a still photograph, you get one view of it. You can't really see the shape of the canopy or anything. You can't see all the fine details. It's kind of very different seeing them in real life, and what an experience to see them. It was just fantastic. I really enjoyed seeing these trees in real life. It was amazing. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. They watch my videos, they see the trees on the channel, and then when they go to a bonsai show, they see them for the first time. And sometimes they're bigger than they imagine them to be. Sometimes they're smaller than they imagined them to be. And yeah, it's just very different seeing these trees in real life. So I suggest anyone, if they can make it to a bonsai show or a collection like this, to see the trees in real life. And it's very different from seeing them a still picture in a book. We have been having some quite mild weather lately, which is good because I'm still in the process of moving trees from inside the glass greenhouse inside the house for the winter. So I'll show you what I've still got left to move indoors. So this bench here to the left, everything on this bench still needs to come inside. The only other one I have is down on the floor. I have these ficus microcarpa cuttings in the giant pot. So I've got to separate all these and pot them up to give away. And a lot of the ones up here too. This pot has a few cuttings in it, a Brazilian rain tree, a jade. It's got an oak in here. This one has a lot of cuttings and some trees that can be separated. So there's a lot of these jades that will go into my my desert rose forest as other trees, so I can get rid of a lot of these pots once I get the ones I want. Some of them are more house plants, like the cactus garden, these leopard plant that Noah gave me. One like the Mars project here, it takes up a lot of space, and I think I'm going to get my aloes that are growing in the Martian soil and put it in a smaller pot. Get rid of all these heavy stones in here. So I've got a lot of kind of repotting, rearranging, kind of slimming the number of pots down, and then they can come in. So I've got to do that very quickly before the warm weather runs out, because I don't want to run double heaters in this greenhouse. It's way too expensive. So I've scaled back the heat, and I've got to get this all done before the weather turns cold again, which could be in about another week maybe. Let's head inside now, and I'll show you how I squeezed more plants into the plant room and the basement. All right, down we go into the basement first. So here we are. So I've added this table here, right here, so I can fit a lot more trees in, and there's still a good aisleway here to get through. So I do have to hang some lights for these trees. I'll hang them from the ceiling up here, have them above this bench to give some light to these trees. So that's how I fit a lot more trees in. A lot of these, like my acacias here, will need pruning, and it'll bring them down more compact, and I can fit a few more trees in on these benches here. I've still got some spaces back there that I can still fit more trees in. It'll be tight, but they'll be fine. Down here in the basement, they don't grow, they don't need a lot of water, and there's no insects, so you can really pack the benches. You don't have to worry about really accessing them that easily. The only time I would access them is to work on them one at a time, and I'd bring them up to the greenhouse and work on them outside there. So yeah, I can really pack them in tight down here in the cool basement. I'm upstairs now. Let's head into the plant room. So here is what I did here. So in the middle of my aisleway, I fit another table. And to get to the back of the plant room, I have to go down below the table and crawl underneath the table here on my hands and knees. And then I pop up on this side of the room like that. So there's my table behind me. So it's not the best solution in the world, but it works. And I can fit a lot more trees in here. So everything is doing really well in this room so far. Everything's, growing. I haven't had any insect problems. What I do is I have it warmer in the daytime, and then at nighttime it cools down. So in the daytime it's usually around 20 degrees Celsius, and at nighttime it usually goes down to about 15. And that just varies with the temperature outside. When it starts getting colder outside, I may have to turn the heat up in here, but right now I'm on the lowest heater setting, and the room is staying really quite warm. It's quite nice in here. Yesterday I topped up my water barrels. I have the big one in the plant room here, so it's full right to the top. I don't have any water down here in the basement yet, but tomorrow I'm going to get 2 of the garbage cans and put them side by side here. Put some plywood on top of them, and that'll be another shelf for plants. And then it'll also be a reservoir to hold water in case I run out in the winter. Outside here, my cube is almost right full. It was full, but I filled up all my barrels. So I've got almost 1,000 liters in there. After I get everything topped up in the basement and everywhere else, I'm going to drain it for the winter. And then what I do is, if there's a thaw in the winter, all the snow on the roof up here melts, and I just close my valve. If it's above freezing, I get enough water to refill all the barrels again. So it works out quite well. That's what I did last winter, and I never ran out of water. Here in the greenhouse, I have this garbage can filled to the brim with water. I have another pail down here full of water, and that usually does me for the whole winter. I can refill it with ice and stuff if I need to top it up, but because this greenhouse is kept cool in the winter, I try and keep it just slightly above freezing. The plants in here don't use a lot of water. It's only on sunny, warm days in the winter that I might have to water them. And yeah, usually that garbage can full of water will last me most of the winter. Oh, the zombie apocalypse. My larch forest here is pretty well lost all its needles, so it's kind of just the bare trees now. Kind of nice to see, so I'll be doing some more pruning on those before they come out into leaf in spring. I can see one long shoot here that I forgot to prune. It starts from this tree in here and grows all the way to the outside of the edge of the forest here. So, oh, there's another long one in here that I didn't get to prune. Yeah, so when they're naked like this, it's a good opportunity to prune them. Today I'm going to be working on my Bullhorn Acacia. This is a plant that's native to Mexico. My Bullhorn Acacia got pruned last time, and you can see the stub where I pruned it off right here. And then it's subdivided. I got more branching coming up, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. So under the right conditions, these plants are very vigorous. And here's the big bullhorns they get, the great big thorns on them that look like the horns of a bull there. It's quite a cool plant. I really, really like it. So today I'm going to prune it again. You can see I have a lot of new kind of branches down low. So I'm going to cut the height of this tree down, making it more compact, and hopefully get more branches coming off the trunk in the future. I'm looking at the acacia now. So I've got a nice branch here. There's a branch here. So I can probably prune the trunk, right back to this one that's kind of facing forward. Or I could leave a bit of a stub and hopefully get more branches forming off of it, which I think would be the best thing to do. So I think I'm going to come into right about here and prune this whole upper trunk off. So, big cut coming up. Here I go. Just like that. So there's a big branch coming off. Now I think these will grow from cuttings. I haven't successfully rooted a cutting, but I came really close. One lived for like the whole summer, and then I think it died in the darkness of winter. But I think if you took care of your cutting, it would root and grow. So then the next trunk I have is this one coming up here. I've got a branch out the back here, which is nice. And again, I think I want to prune it off somewhere about here, hoping to get more branching. So here I go. My second big cut of the day coming up. Just like that. Here is a look at my Bullhorn Acacia now. You can see it's looking more tree-like every year. The next thing I want to do, I want to clean up that stump there where I pruned the main trunk line back. Just kind of prune it off flush. All right, so if you look in the side view here, you can see the trunk line comes up, the branch comes off here, and here's that stump I'm talking about. So that needs to be pruned off. So here I go. I'm just going to rough prune it. And then I'll come in here and try and get a good cut. I think right here. Like that. Now, I think that's good. I think that'll heal over nicely. I've noticed that my Bullhorn Acacia doesn't really like the cool temperatures. It starts dropping some of the leaves and it starts looking a little less than happy. And so I'm going to bring it into the plant room for the winter, keep it warm. I think, it's from Mexico, so it probably likes a little warmer temperatures than it sees here in the greenhouse. My Bullhorn Acacia here was grown from a seed. The seeds were sent up by Todd's Tropicals. And I think it's around 4 years old now, and it's doing really well. I really like it as a bonsai. I think it's an unusual and fairly rare species. I've never seen another other than Bonsai J, who also got some from Todd's Tropicals. Here is a look at my Bullhorn Acacia. So I think I've pruned off all the bullhorns, unfortunately, but I'm sure there'll be new ones growing in. It's always exciting to see them. They're kind of very unique. Yeah, so that's the tree. I think it's doing really well for its age. For something grown from a seed, it's looking, more tree-like. Here's kind of a close-up look at those thorns, the bullhorns. Really cool. And in nature, ants drill holes in the thorns and live inside them. And when another insect is attacking the plant, they come out and they guard the plant. So they live in symbiosis with the Bullhorn Acacia, which is pretty cool. Yeah, a beautiful plant. I'm not sure how suitable it is for bonsai, but I'm giving it a try. Beside my Bullhorn Acacia, you can see the tall plant, and this is a Monkey Thorn Acacia. And I grew it from a seed. It's a little bit younger than the Bullhorn Acacia. And I got the seed, it was at a botanical gardens, and the seeds were falling off the tree, and it was lying in the pathway in front of me, and I took one home and planted the seeds, and I got one to germinate, and here it is. So kind of exciting. Today I'm also going to prune this back. You can see how tall and skinny it is. Now I have pruned it once, so you can see it came up, it divided into two here, two trunks, and I pruned it here and here. And I didn't get any branching. I just got, a continuation of the trunk line. But if you keep doing that, eventually you get branching on these. So today I'm going to prune it back short once again, and then see what happens, see what branches I get growing off of the main trunk lines. All right, here I go, big cuts on the Monkey Thorn Acacia. So here's where it was previously pruned. I'm going to go a bit higher to about here, an outward facing bud. Just like that. So that is a big tall branch that I've removed. I'm going to prune the second trunk now, and I'm trying to decide how high I want it. I do want to develop a flat top canopy on this tree, so I probably want to keep it about the same height. So I think I am going to go right back to here. Here I go. Just like that. And another, not quite as tall a branch, but fairly tall. So there I go. This is pruned back in size. Pull a weed out here. And that's ready. I'm not sure if I'll keep this warm for the winter or if I'll just keep it chilled and then in spring warm it up and have it start to grow again. I should prune off my old stubs here. And I've got another one up here. Like that. So I'm still, just one trunk dividing into two here. Hopefully I'll get some more divisions and start building that canopy. Acacias aren't really easy to bonsai. They're not, like a Chinese elm or anything where you can get branches growing where you want them. You kind of take what you can get and then try and style the tree around what comes in. So yeah, a fairly difficult subject for bonsai. I'll give the two trees a watering and then bring them inside. I've had people ask me, do I find it discouraging after seeing those magnificent trees in the Montreal Botanical Gardens collection? I come home and see my humble little trees here. Do I find it discouraging? And the answer is no. For me, I enjoy the process of bonsai, developing trees. I don't really care what stage of life they're in. I enjoy developing seedlings, trees from cuttings, nursery stock, a few collected trees. I enjoy that day-to-day process of taking care of the trees, pruning them, styling them, and repotting them. All the taking care of them, taking bugs off them and that. You have to enjoy those day-to-day steps. And then if you do end up with this fantastic tree towards the end of your bonsai journey or your lifetime, that's so much the better. But you have to enjoy bonsai every day and don't always be dreaming of these magnificent trees because most of those trees in that collection, they're very large trees. They're not really what I would call a hobbyist tree. They're more a show tree, or I always say they're like supercars. They're like owning a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. They're not for everyone. They're not practical. They're not, you don't commute to work in a Lamborghini. They're for special occasions. And these large trees in the botanical gardens are very special trees, and they get shown in a very special location, and they get the best of care. There's a team of dedicated people that work on them. It's not what I call a hobbyist tree. My largest tree in my collection is, a medium to small tree in the Montreal collection. So, yeah, bonsai as a hobby is very, very different than creating trees for collections or for major shows. It's, you can have one or two large trees, but generally most people can't handle trees that size. You need to be a professional with a team behind you. So keeping bonsai to a hobby level, it's very satisfying for me. I enjoy creating the best tree I can and still be able to fit it in my car. That's my kind of goals for bonsai. So I got my 2 acacias pruned up. They're ready to grow more branches. And that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.